It is the night that we generally have Nicholas Gibbs on, so we thought we'd just do the normal thing. How you doing, Nick?
Doing good. How are you doing, Randy?
Well, it says right here, am I the only one that thinks things are getting too frothy too fast? Tesla, crypto, roaring kitty. Is this deja vu? He asks. That was what you said on X earlier today, about 4 hours ago. I grabbed it and I thought, starting to sound like Randy, wondering about
Oh,
frothiness. Well, I've been talking about a 20%, for the whole market. I think it needs to have a cooling off period. But anyway, what are you thinking? What's your idea here?
yeah. I'll expound on it, my thoughts, and I'd love to hear what you're thinking, and or I'd like to get your critical feedback on what I posted. It sounds like there might not be much, but I s- I've been on here plenty of times. Everybody should know my opinion that we don't know what the market's going to do. I don't think we do. I don't believe in timing. Um, just not my thing. I think it's impossible. Um, I'm a market efficient theorist, if you will. But with that said, it just I can't quantify it other than just look at the market, look at the VIX. Uh, but there's a feeling that I'm getting that it seems like we are back in that time 2020 2021 where there was so much just froth and bullishness in the market that it led to a exorbitant amount of speculation, and I have a feeling that we are back in that. And what I see as like the big, kind of warning signals is crypto is at that all-time high when it comes to like Bitcoin. Doge, Doge has a bigger market cap than Schlumberger. Okay, think about that. All right, out of all the top hedge funds in Wall Street, only two are outpacing the S&P 500, which makes me think, okay, they have to do something before year end.
Uh,
And I think we're seeing a lot of activity because of that, which
wow.
makes me think it's short term activity. And a lot of retail investors are going to get caught holding the bag. And then to add to it, I see the VIX. The VIX is really low. All
I
right.
know.
It's been sitting between 12 and 14, just kind of oscillating. And if there's one thing at the VIX, it doesn't go up slowly when it's this low. It goes up violently.
That's right.
All right. We saw this back in August during the yen carry trade fiasco.
Right.
So I guess just as we get closer to the end of the year, I mean tomorrow's CPI, and I think it's gonna be nothing burger. And then we get the Fed meeting next week, and honestly, I think all that's baked in. I really do. But I think next week, end of the year, beginning of the new year, it just seems like there's going to be a big rug pull, a big, to your point, kind of correction. And this isn't me to say advice to anybody as far as take money off the table. I think the majority of people should be long term investors, buy and hold, just set it and forget it. But pay attention. You should know what your investments are doing. But it just feels like we are way too speculative. I see Roaring Kitty putting stuff. People are talking about GME. I'm hearing everybody talk about Bitcoin. Michael Saylor's on every interview out there. It just everything seems to have gone way too high, way too quick, and it's just not healthy for the market, in my opinion, for things to just go up this quickly. And I know I sound like a bear, but I would say, tied with Randy to be the ultimate bull when it comes to Tesla. And that's why I want Tesla to chill out and have a pullback because I don't want this to be something where all of a sudden everybody fades to trade on Tesla and we go back down to 300, 250 or something like that. I want this to be sustainable. And while we have had this big bump and everybody keeps saying that, well, we've been here before, great. I get that. We've been here before, but we all saw what happens when we were at this level before. And mind you, earnings are lower than what they were before, right? Like the times are a lot different. we are a lot further with technology and everything, but are we this much further to move this quickly, all just because we got a new president? Maybe, but if so, I don't think we have much more to go before we need to just hang out and kind of reestablish a base. So that's just kind of my feeling. And I say this and I just put it out there, I guess, more so to get pushback on what I think and see what the sentiment is, but also hopefully I assume everybody knows how bullish I'm on Tesla, how all in I am on Tesla, how it's like it's outside of work and family, it's Tesla's kind of my life. I'm obsessed with it. I'm an obsessive person when it comes to things. So it's not like I'm just saying this out of nowhere, but maybe that gives other people pause to do a little critical thinking rather than just having the fun and jumping on the bandwagon, the FOMO, and maybe just talking about this, putting it out there, keep someone from doing something stupid with regards to FOMO.
You mean like
So
people
again,
selling like people selling their homes and putting it all into Tesla?
I, I mean, honestly, I think if people do that, everyone make your own decisions. You're all adults. I don't think that you would regret that in 10 years.
Right.
But yes, if you're going to do that, I would say sell your house, take the cash, and wait for a pullback before you deploy. But it's just my thought. I don't know. It just, Randy, it feels frothy. It smells frothy. It has all the hallmarks on X of frothiness. Like I said, Doge has a bigger market cap than Schlumberger.
Right.
If that doesn't reek of overextended, I don't know what does. What say you?
Okay, so I've been saying for, I don't know, 8 months, 7 months, that we need a general pullback in the overall market of 10 to 20%. We had kind of a 5 to 10%, you might remember a few months ago. We pulled back a little bit and then went forward. And I thought, well, okay, at least we had some kind of a pullback. And in fact, the NASDAQ was almost 20% down at that point. I think that might have been during the carry trade issue also. And but to your point, not only do I think that we are frothy, but I even said to Larry last night, we could drop 20% on Tesla or on the overall market, the NASDAQ, 30% of the NASDAQ. And most people would just go, oh, okay, because they've made so much money. Sure, there'd be people that would get burned, but the vast majority of the people would just go, oh, well, now we'll go up again. Because the amount of money that's been made is just crazy. So a 30% drop on Tesla would only be 300, and most people didn't think we'd be 300 now. So it wouldn't really be a giant, a giant problem.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, but do you think it's going to happen? If so, when do you see it happening? Obviously,
So
we're not going to be right no matter what we say, but just
right.
let's play look into the crystal ball game.
Yeah. So then I look at the other side of it, and the other side of it is the wealthy are really wealthy. Okay. The people that make more than $100,000 a year and own a house and own some stock, they're wealthy. They've made so much money over the last couple of years. So they don't need to, if they might want to play, they might want to say, oh, I'll take some off. And maybe everybody takes it off at the same time. And, some things get triggered, some algos get triggered, and you get your 20% down. And then the algos get triggered the other way. And it's like, okay, that was the 20% down. We're going back the other way. So all those things could happen. I do believe that somebody said today, oh, it was Andreessen being interviewed today on what's her face's Barry Weiss's show. Andreessen said, this is the most optimistic he has seen everybody since 1980, the beginning of the Reagan years. The amount of optimism, it's unparalleled in terms of the way people across, I mean, yeah, sure, the liberals are still making noise. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them are going, I want to join the Republicans now. So we're seeing that every day now. People, yeah, you guys are right. But the overall enthusiasm, the NFIB this morning, that National Federation of Independent Businessmen, an 8% jump in optimism. And they only had one thing in there. They said it's about the election. So you've got 60% of the market as small business owners. 60% of the market is those guys, and they're up 8% in their feelings of optimism going forward. You've got the both the sentiment index and the consumer confidence index both up dramatically last week because of the election. Now, in the consumer confidence, there was a little bit of hesitancy because people were saying that they don't know what's going to happen. Even though the election is decided, it's still, what is Trump really going to do with those tariffs? And they're being hammered by the CNNs and MSNBCs about, oh, how horrible these tariffs are going to be and how they're going to cause inflation. So there's that trepidation about, well, what's really, Trump's going to cause some chaos. Is that chaos going to be temporarily a bad thing, which even Elon Musk has said it will? We might have some pain. So yeah, I could see it going either way, but mostly I see optimism. And I also see an extremely wealthy investing class. And so they don't need to take it off the table. They might choose to, but they don't need to.
So then you think we don't get any kind of pullback or any kind of chill out? You think we just keep running?
Or chill out, maybe. So I have also said that I think that Tesla, even though it's bouncing against, and I'd love to hear your thoughts specifically on Tesla, that even though Tesla's bouncing against 411, 410, whatever, the old high, it's already passed, of course, the what do you call it, the market cap high, but the technically, the dollar of the stock amount high has been almost touched on within a dollar. I could see Tesla being almost flat from now until the end of January. Maybe it goes down to 380 or 350 and back up to 400 and 410 and blah, blah, blah. Maybe it goes up to 450 and comes back to 350 and back to 450. But I think it's going to be pretty close to where it is right now, unless there is a major catalyst. And I mean a major catalyst, a Gen 2.5 reveal, a major breakthrough in FSD where maybe 13.3 when it goes wide is just clearly this close to being robotaxi level.
Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen, but if you wanted to put some kind of cold water on everything, I think where reality could set back in is when we get delivery numbers,
right.
January 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
We may be right at, even year over year.
Mm-hmm.
We may be slightly under year
mm-hmm.
over year. And guys, I get it. Who cares about that, right? I'm the first one to say that.
Right.
But I'm talking about the broad market,
right,
and what people will say. And that will be a quick way to get quick narratives out there. And, if it bleeds, it leads kind of thing. And, people might want to just get out of it before earnings and then get back in after earnings.
Right.
So there's lots that could happen with regards to that. There's also, to your point, there's the potential for a lot of things, right? I mean, we see GM is essentially going to stop trying to do cruise and just, I guess, do their own kind of autopilot internally. We see the progress of SD. BMW just commented on AI drivers thing. It's like, what's that about? Like, are you just doing that to
spell that out? Spell that out, because not everybody saw that.
Oh yeah, so AI driver had, I guess, like a clip of one of his, like, he tried to get the vehicle stuck. He's on V13, tried to get the vehicle stuck, and it had to do like this, like 3, 4, 6-point turn to get out of it, and it handled it flawlessly. And I guess somebody said, "Hey, at BMW or Ford or or Volkswagen and BMW," and the BMW X account responded saying, "That's pretty cool," or something like that. And then the Tesla account responded back to BMW. So it's like, what's happening there, right? Is there something, So that's interesting, right?
Yes.
So could that be something that's about to be announced?
Well, that would be enough of a catalyst.
Yeah.
That would take us to 450 in a hurry.
That'll take us to 500 in a hurry. So because that'd be the first sign, right? Like it's you're just seeing it. It's by the end of 2025, it'll be clear. There'll be announcements. There'll be partnerships. I'm sure. It's 2025 is gonna be a big year.
So there's a list, now that started with showing everybody's position. I didn't
Oh, the Guidehouse crap.
the Tesla price targets.
Oh, never mind.
Okay.
They're talking about the positioning for
No,
FSD.
no, Tesla price targets has like everybody and their
Not me.
third cousin on there. And he asked me the other day that when anybody that's on my channel changes their PT, to please let him know. And I'm looking on here and I don't see you at all.
I'm not on there.
You're not on there.
Nope.
So do you have a price target for 2025?
More than what we are right now.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. That's so helpful.
I don't know. I mean, if
So
we're
I'll
at
tell you,
400 right now,
yeah.
good.
So my deal is 700 just for hardware, just energy and sexy and Cybertruck. That 700 includes the normal amount of whatever is in there for sentiment or optionality on Robotaxi and on Optimus, but not any actual income from Robotaxi or Optimus. If we get income from either one of those, we're talking 1,000.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I hate making all these like price target predictions because it's so dependent on what happens, right?
Yes.
Do we get the next gen vehicle revealed? And if he said volume production in 2026, does that mean some production starts now? Does the robotaxi fleet or the robotaxi in California and Texas get deployed flawlessly and expands more than we thought, or does it get slightly delayed? Like, what's all that look like? Does Optimus start to be way more useful by the end of the year? Right? It's like we don't know any of these things,
Right. Right.
right? Do rates come way down? Do we start to see huge demand, or does all of a sudden a conflict between China and us start, and all of a sudden China puts a kibosh on the Tesla factory there? I mean, like we don't know what's going to happen.
Right. But you and I've had this conversation before, but you still can say, okay, but based on all of that and taking all that into consideration, my gut is, or my feeling is, I'm not sitting here and doing a fancy spreadsheet to come up with this. I'm just looking at kind of the general inclination, 20 to 30% increase in car sales. And then maybe we got some robotaxi happening, or maybe we're really close.
I, I think by the end of the year, if what I think is going to happen happens, we'll be we'll be knocking on the door of $1,000 a share potentially. But everything that I think is going to happen will have to happen.
Right.
That means licensing deals. That means flawless execution with FSD in Texas and California, and then by the end of the year, they're announcing a new state that they're going to go into, or several new states. That means that Mega Pack's doing great and advancing. I mean, it's just lots of things.
Okay. And then what if there's an Optimus reveal?
Tell me more.
They show you Optimus working in the factory, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 working in the factory. They
Oh yeah.
take you on a fly through the factory, and all these Optimus are working at different stations, and then they give you a price or a rental per month, and some idea of what their expectations are for shipments in 2026. What happens to the price?
Well, I think the first time we see Optimus revealed like that will be on the Cybercab. I I I expect that the Cybercab to be fully made by Optimus and just stationary robots.
Mhm. Okay. And so we'll see that. And then if there's a reveal with some kind of prediction of units in 2026 and some kind of a price rent per month, or I mean, Elon said the other day, as of this moment at least, he appears to be going to be offering some kind of a dollar. You can buy it for this much for the hardware and the software combined.
Mhm.
I'm guessing there would still be some kind of a monthly, update fee or something, or he's going to rent it. And he didn't say both of those are still on the table. But I don't even care as long as he tells us what it is. That would be the reveal.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I hope that I don't think they should sell it at all. They should just rent
I agree,
complete subscription.
100%, 100%.
I mean, as a consumer, I don't want that. As an
Right,
investor, I want that.
right. Yes, exactly, exactly. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I figure if Jensen can make these margins, why shouldn't Tesla? Come on, Elon, maximize. Grab as much as you can, cream it.
Well, you have to maximize. It's the only way you grow, right? You still got to make a profit, so you can put back into the system. So yeah, I mean, we're on the precipice of what could be. Now, that doesn't mean I think that price target will be reflected in earnings. And I think this is where I have a huge disconnect from a lot of people.
Mhm.
A lot of people think that the earnings have to come through onto the P&L in order for the stock to really be recognized.
Right.
I think right now you're seeing that's not true, right?
Yes,
It's a perfect example that's not true.
of course.
Um, I think you more so just have to have a line of sight and a clear path on what's going to be, and then it can get recognized. But it's always been, in my opinion, it's always been like that. Like things get pulled forward beforehand. It's the way the market tends to work.
All right. So you mentioned Cruise getting out of the business, well, getting out of the robo taxi business. So they made it clear. She went on some kind of a conference call. Mary did, and Mary led, and Mary said that we're going to lead back. We're going to retreat. Actually, we're going to capitulate. We're no longer interested in the robotaxi business. We're going to throw away $10 billion, and we're going to only have a private vehicle kind of ADA that may or may not be as good as eventually an FSD. So my question is, and I thought about this for a minute, so I have developed an opinion, but I'm going to throw it out. I want your opinion first. If Tesla is still selling vehicles when the Cruise actually gets their best cruise capability, and Tesla probably will still be selling vehicles. Let's call it 2026 sometime. And Teslas will go from your garage to a parking garage near your work, and it'll go over highways and freeways and city streets and backyard, and through alleys, and get out of every kind of traffic problem and everything else. It'll just do everything. You don't have to think about it. You can sit in the back seat. It's 100% full on. And somebody else's, let's call it GM's Cruise, only works in some of those places. And so maybe you get to the freeway and now you can be hands-free until it gets off the freeway, and then it tells you have to take over, but you have to take over sometimes. And it costs a lot less for their ADA than it does for FSD. Is that a business?
Um, I I don't think so. And I don't think that's actually what's happening. I knew nothing. Okay, let me just put on my thinking hat.
Sure.
What I think is potentially happening is they're trying to restructure so that I think they're going to go down two paths. I think one, they're going to be forced to license FSD from Tesla. But I think what they're going to try to do is at the same time, much like Tesla uses NVIDIA chips, but they also are trying to do Dojo at the same time.
Uh-huh.
I could see where GM uses this ADAS team to incorporate Tesla's FSD into their vehicles, get all that going. But at the same time, they're going to try to collect all that data now that they'll have cameras and everything. They'll try to also collect that data so they can come up with their own system. So eventually they could wean off of Tesla.
Hmm.
I think that might be something that they try to do. It kind of makes sense to me, right? Like don't get left behind.
Uh-huh.
Use Tesla while you can. Be working on your own thing, so eventually you can not use Tesla. Will they be able to do that? I don't know, but to me, that seems like the best way forward.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Well, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. This next year, it's gonna be, I mean, sometimes I sit here in my little studio here as I'm prepping, and this is all coming in all day long, the stock price and all the opportunities and the craziness, and then the governmental aspects, and then you've got, these international situations that are seemingly all turning good all of a sudden. I don't care if China is sending out ships over Taiwan, they're not going to do anything. So I'm like, there's so much good happening and so much potential good happening that it's almost overwhelming. Do you ever feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, that goes back to what you're talking about Andressi's comment, right? Like, there's just so much excitement and euphemism right now. It's everywhere, but at the same time, we're in the honeymoon period right now. So
Yeah.
let's enjoy the honeymoon while it's here. But I think pretty soon we're gonna have to actually get to work, actually have to show results, actually get stuff done. And to your point earlier, quoting Elon, you know, it's not all gonna be comfortable.
Right.
So
Right. Yes. Yes.
no.
Cybercab. So our buddy Brian White has done a whole series of videos about Cybercab after his trip down to San Francisco, and I did a video with him last night, and I'll be probably putting that up here later. So did you get a chance to see some of that and see some of the back and forth in terms of all the cool stuff that Cybercab has done? My initial takeaway is I am totally jealous, 100% envious of the design team because I just love that kind of brainstorming where you have a blank slate, you got a blank piece of paper, and somebody says, okay, what do we do to this thing to make it the perfect cybercab? I mean, oh my goodness, that would have been so much fun to be in that room. Oh my goodness.
Have you? Yeah, they should have how with like an NBA season, they'll have behind the scenes documentary that
Right,
led up to it.
right,
It's
right.
too I wonder if they were doing anything like that,
That'd be
right? Like
lovely.
what went into the making of it. That'd be kind of cool.
I think I'd even be
Um,
more jealous.
yeah. Um, but have you had a chance to go look at it?
I have not been next to or near or touched a cybercab yet. No.
I thought there was one near you. Is it the Peterson Museum near you?
Peterson Museum is near me. And in fact, I'll be near it. I'll be very near it this Saturday.
Don't they have one?
I don't know. I'll check and find out. If they do, I'll go see it.
And wasn't Brian White just with one? Where was he?
San Francisco.
Oh,
Yeah, that's 8 hours. That's 8 hours.
you got FSD.
I'll wait till it's at the Peterson Museum. Anyway, I'll check. I'll find out. And then we've also
I
got,
think it is there.
yeah, is that okay? I'll check. Yeah. So anyway, what did you think? What are you thinking about the cybercab? All this, or did you get a chance to see much of the stuff?
Which stuff are you referring to
Well, I mean,
specifically?
it's
Because
just
I
the
think I
weight of it.
saw.
Like 90, it's only got 90, parts. As you pointed out, it's going to be all 100% robotic built, 100% robot.
I think I don't know.
Oh, that's
I'm
what he
guessing.
said. He said the engineer told
Oh,
Brian that it's going to be 100% robots.
okay. Yeah,
Uh,
I speak with Brian tomorrow. I was gonna ask him where I don't I haven't seen any of it. Like
oh, you
I'm just seeing
haven't?
little
Okay.
things. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, we won't challenge you any further in that department. Then we'll
Oh yeah.
talk about it next Tuesday.
Yeah. Like I saw a couple things like there's no well I don't there's some things I don't like actually.
Oh,
Like I think there's nowhere to charge your phone. I think that's a mistake.
well, you can charge. You can, it's not a uh,
Induction.
induction. They're afraid people
But
leave
why?
it behind.
So how do you charge your phone? You have to plug in?
I guess you can plug in. I don't know.
That's a mistake.
He didn't even say whether you could plug in or not.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
What they're trying to do is keep you from being able to leave anything behind.
I
And
get that.
And I have left my car in two cabs. My phone in two cabs. I've done it twice.
Yeah, I get that, but I feel like if you have the Tesla app on your phone and the phone knows where you are,
Right.
and if the car gets its final destination, I would almost like force an audible beep
Oh yeah,
to
yeah.
make sure,
Right.
right? Rather than not have an induction.
Yeah.
Because like, how often are you like, oh man, good thing I'm in my car. Let me
I
plug in.
know. Yeah, yeah. Oh no,
Like
in
all
cab
the time.
in cabs I've done it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like an
Yeah.
Uber that doesn't have somewhere to plug in. It's like, what are you doing?
Well, there you go.
So
So maybe they'll hear you. We'll send this off to
yeah,
Optimus slipping and sliding down the hill,
but not fully.
but not falling. So what did you think when you saw that particular video? Is this was that
I thought it
encouraging?
was fake. I first saw it. I thought, no, I did. Because it was weird. They, I saw that one clip and that was it. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like this deluge of everything comes out. I'm like, okay. So at first, I thought this was just. Have you seen those like videos where it's like Optimus like doing all kinds of crazy things, but it's not actually Optimus? I thought it was like one of those videos.
I see.
But
Yeah.
that, I mean, it's good to see that they're working on that stuff. It's like you knew they were, you knew it was important. They have their things that they're working on, that they're prioritizing, and I think for the most part up to this point they've been prioritizing mainly on hand, object, hand space motion, dexterity. Being able to do all the things, kind of pick things up. The right sensors. So really, torso up they've been focusing on. Like I think maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like they've been focused on torso up majority. Moving actuators to forearms, getting tendons, all that. That now it's exciting to see them, and maybe they were all along, and they haven't talked that much, but
Right.
seeing this release really focused on the lower part, right? How it walks, the balancing, different terrains, going upstairs. I think it's exciting. It shows that we're getting closer and closer to the point where they feel like, okay, we have a feature complete, if you will, first generation humanoid bot,
Right.
or,
Right.
or production quality first generation humanoid bot.
Right.
So I think it's exciting. I think it's really exciting.
And then they confirmed that they would be building thousands in 2025. I mean, Elon had said 1,000 or thousands, but this engineer, indicated thousands. So I think that's still the plan. So it could be pretty amazing.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but he said thousands doing useful tasks or something like
Doing
that.
useful tasks, thousands.
That's what's huge.
I know. I
That's
know.
what's huge. And in my mind, Randy, is what would you need thousands for if not for these new vehicles that are going to be coming out?
Well, and it's not going to be all sorting batteries. You're not going to use thousands to sort batteries. So it's not going to all be pick and play.
No,
It's got to
in
be
my
doing.
mind, you know how they say that this mid version next gen vehicle is going to be a combination of using the existing line and
Right.
parts or elements of unbox.
Right.
Those elements of the unbox method, in my mind, Optimus would do that
Mhm.
because it's being trained for that. Because in my mind, the Cybercab will be fully assembled by Optimus.
Mhm.
So I think there's something there. I don't know, but that's where
My,
my mind goes.
in my head, I've always thought, and this goes back, man, I mean, practically a year and a half ago when they were first starting to really talk about it. I've always thought that they would want to have as many varied tasks as possible, that they would want to have it doing, you know, every kind of thing, like using a screwdriver, using a drill, using a welding torch, putting things up above, putting things down below, lifting relatively heavy objects, making decisions about things, quality control decisions. I mean, just such a wide variety of things because ultimately everything that the robot can do now the entire fleet can do, and that then makes it usable out of the box, so to speak, once they start selling them. So
Yeah.
maximizing the number of tasks it can handle during the course of the next 12 months would seem to me to be the number one goal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, talk about what could send the stock soaring.
Yeah, no
Um,
kidding.
yeah, that's definitely up there. But it's, man, like, I mean, just if it doubled, that'd put it at what, like $2.4 trillion company, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now it's 1.25 or 120. Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah.
so that's what's crazy. It could double, and it's still not even a $3 trillion company
Right.
in the way all these other companies are. And don't get me wrong, like Tesla doesn't produce the same profits, they don't produce the same revenue, but do those other companies have the technology? They don't.
You know, do they have
So
Elon Musk as their president? They do, or their techno king? No, they do not.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, no, you don't have to sell me. I think the stock is, I just said it this morning. I think the stock is worth $800 right now. And that $800 is, 50% of that $800 is the expectation that robotaxi and Optimus will happen. But the optionality, we do this all the time. I always use the same example. Rivian was worth theoretically, apparently worth $100 billion with no factory and no car. Well, if Rivian
Yeah.
was worth $100 billion with no factory and no car, and no president that had a track record of being able to build a car, then how much is Optimus worth right now?
Yeah. But again, okay, full circle, right? This is where we get back into the speculative froth that I see.
Right, right.
And just because Rivian got to that doesn't mean it was worth that,
Right,
right? Because if it was worth that, it wouldn't have come down the way it did.
right.
Um, and you can make the same argument for Tesla if we're really being honest. I think when Tesla ran up, there was a lot of excitement about FSD,
Yes,
and I think we all thought FSD was a lot closer than what it was.
right.
And it wasn't until version 12 where we were like, okay, this is it. Remember before, every time there's release, it was like, oh, we're on this type of architecture. Now we're on an A architecture and
Yeah,
we're slow.
yeah,
We're trying to
yeah.
figure we got to this mountaintop and then we realized there's another mountaintop, right? We're going through all that.
Right.
And in the process, just like us, we thought, oh, we're almost there. We're almost there. Now
Now.
we know we're almost there, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like we truly have these experiences that's like, okay, we're
So I
just
think,
putting the final
I,
touches.
but I think that's also what's happening is you've got these major whales that are chiming in. You know, Brad Gertzner, you know, these guys who have been kind of they're interested, they're paying attention, but all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, they've seen what they need to see, and now they're heavily committed.
Yeah, I just again, I just feel like there's a certain at least 10% of this move that's kind of BS, where it's like a Gary Black that's all of a sudden bullish again because of this new vehicle they're
Foolishness.
going to release in the first half, as if they haven't been saying that for an entire year, right? And all of a sudden we
And there
flip.
was actually nothing new.
Nothing new, absolutely nothing new. So it's like it's people like that who are like, oh, crap, I need to fix this. I need to do something because I can't get to the end of the year. And when my investors see what we have on the book, like it just gets messy.
Yeah, yeah,
So not to pick on Gary, but I don't know. I feel like there's too much credit gets given to people like him.
well, okay. And the flip side of what you just said, though, you said, okay, we need this window dressing for the end of the year. The flip side of that is that the institutional investors are still underweight. According to Tesla Boomer Mama, they're still underweight. So there's opportunity for them to still have to come on board and get themselves up to the proper weight.
True. Yeah. Well, it'll be excuse me, not to get too nerdy here, but we do have I think I think a S&P 500 or Nasdaq rebalancing coming up,
When does
and
that
then we
happen?
also, I think next week, Thursday, Friday.
Really
Don't quote
before
me. It's
the
just
end?
coming up.
Before the end of the year?
Yeah, before the end of the year, which might be what a lot of this is too. By the way, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this could be
yeah.
getting ahead of that.
I see.
Um, but we also have triple witching
Okay.
that's gonna be coming up for options. So
On Friday
and
the
then you have
13th?
is it this Friday?
Yeah. Friday the 13th.
Okay, yeah, this Friday.
Triple witching on Friday the 13th. I think I'll go get under my pillow.
Yeah. But then you also have CPI tomorrow,
Yes. PPI
right?
30.
Um, I don't even know what the expectations for CPI tomorrow are, but that could throw a
The,
wrench
the
or
guidance is slightly up.
slightly up. Okay,
Yep.
so so I mean, so that gives a lot of potential for a beat, right?
Yes, it has potential for beat and it has potential to be slightly up, which the market might already be planning for. But I think the market is now planning for the Fed not to lower next week.
No, the
The
market's
bonds,
expecting it to lower.
look at the bonds. Let's go there. Let's go there.
Let's go
So
there.
today's action, Tesla ends up 11.20 during regular hours and up another 2.26 in the after hours, but it did touch on $409.72, putting it about a buck away from all-time high in terms of the actual closing price of 410 and some change on
Uh,
per second of whatever.
Now, Randy, I'm looking at it right now. The Fed CME is saying 85.8% expectation for a rate cut tomorrow.
That's the guys who are putting in that vote. But the voters that I look at are the bond buyers, okay, because they're putting money behind their vote, and the bonds are back up to 4.23 on the 10-year. Okay, up yesterday, up again today, up in the pre-market.
Yeah, they're gonna cut. This hasn't been wrong once.
It hasn't been wrong once.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm hearing now they're hearing the same things I am, so they're probably smarter than I am, but I think there's a pretty good chance they're not going to cut next week. And I don't think the market
Let's
will
see.
care.
Uh, let's see. Yeah, even Polymarket is saying 85%.
Oh, Poly market's at 85. Well, that impacts me a little more because they do have money in the game. But
Yeah.
bond buyers, are you one of those guys that believes bond buyers are the smartest of the investors?
Um,
It's kind of like the baseball players are the smartest of the sports guys.
I think market makers are the smartest.
Market makers are the smartest. Okay. Right. And
Yeah,
bond buyers.
I think they have their moments.
Okay. So to continue on, the 10-year is up 7/10 in the pre-market at 4.228. You've got the 2-year up only 0.2 of a basis point, and I can't find the 2-month or the 3-month anymore on my information. They've screwed up my deal, or I did. I don't know which. But the 1-month, which is my proxy now, is up 2.8, also in the 2.8 basis points in the pre-market tonight. So anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow with this CPI. That could be, if it went up more than the expectation, went up, a full 0.3 or something, instead of 0.2, um, on the headline number or on the
Everything changes.
everything changes. We could really see something
You'll
serious.
see a sell off.
Yeah. Oil is unchanged in the pre-market, 68.53 in Texas. It seems as if the Middle East is off the table now. Nobody's worried about the Middle East anymore.
Funny how that works.
Well, okay, so Syria has no army, no navy, and no air force at all. Iran has no capability to shoot down any airplanes if Israel would end up sending more airplanes over there, and Hamas has completely been eviscerated, almost. I mean, to the point where it's probably almost over, and Hezbollah has put down their arms. It seems like it's kind of a good situation.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Trump's threats are pretty effective.
Natural gas up only 0.7 in the pre-market, $3.185. Not a lot of movement in natural gas recently. Gold continues up though, back up to 27.30. Any thoughts on gold? Do you think gold will? We had lots and lots of buying from
Chinese.
Chinese and the Turks and the Indians and all kinds of central banks are buying like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there. It's the same argument for Bitcoin. Outside of the United States, there's not really a good place that you can store your money
Mhm.
if you just want to store your money, right? I mean, you could obviously buy stocks and things like that, but if you just want to store your money, you could put it into your checking account or savings account. But in a lot of these countries, you don't really trust the government. You don't trust the system. And that's why a lot of people will buy gold. That's why a lot of people buy Bitcoin. Because at the end of the day, the country could collapse. You could have a Venezuela moment. You could have a Greece moment. And you don't have to worry about your money because it's in Bitcoin or it's in gold. You
Right,
can leave the country and you still have your money. But if
right.
you're in their institution,
Hmm.
you're kind of screwed.
Hmm.
So I think that's part of it. And you're seeing that with really the majority of the world outside of the United States, right? The United States is kind of a safe haven, but in the United States, we tend to use real estate as that kind of proxy, right? Like, obviously, again, you can buy stocks and everything, but you're not going to find a lot of really wealthy people that don't also own a piece of land. Like, in
Yeah,
general,
yeah.
most wealthy people own something in Florida because even if you went bankrupt, but you have a place in Florida, you can't touch it, right?
Right,
There are these weird rules that kind of protect you. So it's a way to store my wealth, and I can't get screwed over.
right.
Don't ask about all of it. I I live in Florida, so I have property, so I've never really looked into it, but I know this is a thing. Um, but for the rest of the world, they don't have that kind of security,
Right.
and gold is the default for everybody, and Bitcoin's a natural secondary default, or maybe it's the primary now. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for at least for a percentage of the population, not you, not me. Bitcoin is at 96,452, so it's now kind of settling in back into the 90s after it's run over 100,000. I mean, I think it was over 100 yesterday for a minute, but it pulled back down into the mid 90s. Equities pretty flat going into into tomorrow. Dow up 16, S&P up 4.75, and Nasdaq up 19. So not a lot of energy in the equities. I guess people again laying low, waiting for tomorrow. I didn't just for fun for those who count on me to tell them this. The Dow was actually down 154 today, Nasdaq down 49, S&P down 17. So while the Dow, that was a pretty good move at 0.35%, the rest was pretty flat, pretty flat. By the way, that's what I predicted at the beginning of the week. I said it'd be flat, waiting for the CPI, and there you go. It was. What do you think?
Yeah,
Yeah. Anything else on your list of stuff that's
no, I think pretty much after the Fed meeting next week, it's kind of over. I think the year's over. I think everybody kind of packs it in. Um, I think we kind of just go into 2025. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, these are kind of the last two big events before 2025, and then right when we get into 2025, you have a big Tesla event with numbers, delivery numbers, and then shortly after that, days later, if not a day later, you get the jobs report. So that'll be an impact, and So yeah, there's
Then you
pretty
get
much
then
for
you get it
20.
then you get inauguration the next week. And then you
Yeah,
then you get earnings and what do you call it? The first day of the new administration on the 20th, the same within 2 days of each other. So it's
yeah,
gonna be a jam-packed month.
yeah. It'll be interesting. So yeah, so again for 2024, I really think that potentially even after tomorrow. After tomorrow, we'll know CPI is, which will
Yeah,
mean we'll know what the Fed's going to do,
right,
and
right.
this might be it. This might be the last week, and everyone's kind of packing it in.
Yeah. No, probably not a lot of volume, you're saying. So maybe people start to not pay that much attention. They're just like, okay, we've got it figured at this point.
Yeah, and now that
Yeah, it
doesn't
can all
mean
change. Yeah,
that yeah, the low volume can mean bigger moves
it can. Yes,
up or down.
yes, yes.
So
Truly, truly, truly. All right, Nicholas. Thank you as always for jumping on and giving us another opinion. I mean, you are the one who brings us the youthful opinion. That the youthful opinion, but still the wisdom of being a trader for what, almost 20 years now?
something like that.
Okay. So that combination doesn't happen that often. But I was thinking this morning, something you didn't probably get to appreciate. When I started trading, I think I was 20 and I was at UCLA and I had to walk down from where I lived on campus and walk down to there was a Merrill Lynch, I think, had an office there on the right on the corner of Westwood and Wilshire. And I would walk in there and just sit and watch the tape.
Mm,
And it was magic for a numbers for we watch the tape now on our app, right? And there's a certain amount of magic to the tape. And I had that magic. I was walk down there in the morning before classes, spend a half an hour watching the tape, make decisions about what I was going to do. So that popped into my head today.
yeah, the only tape I ever watch is on CNBC. So, but yeah, no, I started when I was 14.
14. Okay.
Uh, yeah, my stepdad got me into it. Opened up a custodian account for me, and I mean, yeah, I was hooked. Yeah, just the idea of taking your money and making it work for you to make you money, and the idea that you could piggyback off of the biggest companies in the world, the brightest mind, and you could piggyback off of
Yeah,
what
yeah,
they're doing. Like
yeah.
just to this day, that concept just boggles my mind. Is that we're like, I'll speak for myself. I'm a nobody. I'm not this extremely brilliant person.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not. I mean, maybe I'm being a little, uh, what's the word?
Self-deprecating,
Deprecating.
self-deprecating. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you get my point, right? Like I'm not a Elon Musk out there founding this
Right,
big company, and for some reason I can sleep in my bed, and I every night they're working, they're building, they're doing things. I get to sleep in my bed, and I get the benefit from it.
right.
That's insane. It's just it still boggles my mind.
Well, it's a good thing and it's really fun. And again, I want to thank you for coming on. And all things being equal, see you next Tuesday. And to all of you out there, it has been great talking to you.
Cheers.